Welcome to Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Unlearn the Crap TV is more than just a show. It's a movement towards breaking free from the disempowering structures designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. It's about education, healing, and unlearning the detrimental beliefs that have been ingrained in society for generations. So now, please welcome the host of Unlearn the Crap TV, Kathy Baldwin.
Hello and welcome to Unlearn the Crap TV. Are you struggling with self-doubt, wondering if you're on the right path? Do you feel lost? Do you feel confused? Maybe you're dealing with stress and overwhelm and burnout. Those are all side effects of being out of alignment with yourself. And right now, we are living in a time that is exponentially changing so fast. We are seeing growth like never before. Our industries are changing. Our world is changing. Every part of our life, there's mass layoffs. There's disruptors to every industry out there. There has never been a more important time in history for each and every one of us to be our best amazing self. And how can you do that if you're struggling with self-doubt? How can you step into your zone of genius if you're not sure about who you are, or you're burdened by the weight of stress and the to-do list and the shoulds and the expectations and the judgments and everything that is piling on us? Well, I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest. Nancy Regan has the answers that are going to help us navigate this amazing time so that you can step into the greatest version of yourself. Nancy, welcome to Unlearn the Crap.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm so thrilled to be here. And one of my favorite subjects, self-doubt and burnout, stuff that I've lived for years. And it took a lot for me to figure out who I am and to align myself. So that's why I'm here to inspire others and empower others that they can live a life of joy, freedom, and peace amongst the chaos that we live in.
I love that. I just did a live intro promo on Facebook saying how excited I was that we were having this conversation, because you and I are so aligned with our missions to undo that. I shared my story on how I dealt with stress and burnout and how it led to my breakdown and the disease in my body. Would you please share with everyone else how you became an expert in this as well?
Absolutely. So my story goes back to starting at the age of 10 to where I am now and becoming a therapist to my mother, who was depressed. Now, during that time, I knew no different, right? Thought that was normal, that everybody else did this. But what happened is I started serving others, which I am totally on board with serving other people, but you have to serve yourself first. And I never learned that because I was served my mother, and then I served my family and my children, and then I was volunteering for multiple groups. I was working, I was taking it all on, and I was doing it. But you mentioned your body, Kathy, and I wasn't listening to my body. Exhaustion, stress, anxiety, worry. How did I deal with my stress? Food. I call myself a junk food junkie because I would reach for sweets, giving me that dopamine hit just to keep me going. And it worked, for maybe a couple of hours, and then you'd crash down again. And I needed that fix again. And so until I actually burnt out, and that's when I hit rock bottom. And I don't mind saying it was a year of emotional hell. I don't want anybody to have to go through that. Crying nonstop for months, exhausted, again, anxious. My body, I didn't even know my body, and that was the issue, is I didn't know my body. and I didn't understand what was going on. So I was living up here and comparing myself to others, thinking I could do it all. I was superwoman, and just give it to me because I can do 120%. I can do it the best. Let me just keep going. And my body was telling me, honestly, now that I look back, slow down. You need a break. But I didn't know about that. And I actually have to say, I thought self care was actually selfish. Like
Yeah.
many women feel that it's being selfish, and that is, please, it is absolutely wrong. It's the best gift you can give yourself, but guess what? It's the best gift you can give your family, your friends, your coworkers, your partner.
Absolutely. I was just saying that earlier, that the Unlearn the Crap philosophy is based on a 4X win. And a win, first of all, is for me.
Hmm.
And I know I need to explain that because we're trained to say, oh, what do you mean you put yourself first?
Hmm.
What about your clients, and what about the world and your family and all these other things? Don't they come first? No. If we don't put ourselves first, now we are dependent. Now we're weak.
Hmm.
Now we're in a place where others need to take care of us because we're not doing the job ourselves.
Right. And that's where that freedom comes, right? So you have that freedom because you are empowering yourself. And when you empower yourself, you're able to align with who you are, get to know yourself better, and you have the freedom to make the choices and the desires, right, of your needs. Because we all have needs and desires, and we don't know that until we start taking care of ourselves. And like I said, the energy, you have an exorbitant amount of energy. I know it seems like crazy, but it's not, because you are filling yourself up. And that is, like I said, most important, to do that. And it was a hard lesson. And I didn't learn that until I was 40 years old. It took me that long and burnout in order to finally connect. And I just want to say, so for me, the big turn was after that, the burnout. I just started, okay, I need to do something for myself. So I hired a personal trainer. I started eating nutritional foods. Then I started reading books on self care and self help. And that helped me a long way. And I just carried that forward. But what really changed my life was I met what I like to call my guru. I took this new position in a holistic health office in a college, and she was all about spirituality, Reiki, Tai Chi, mindfulness. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. This sounds like a bunch of crap. Okay. It sounds like a bunch of crap. I don't believe you, whatever, but this is a great gig, like the hours. It's going to work for me for right now because I need to get myself back together. And it ended up, I had a Reiki session and I was talking with her, and it changed my entire life. I I can't thank her enough. Introduced me to the mindfulness and spirituality, and that's when I took off and I went back to school and I got certified, through IIN, which a lot of people do in New York. And then I went to school for psychology and coaching and nutrition and all that. And just, I couldn't get enough, and I still can't get enough. So that's why I'm now a spirit inspired empowerment coach, helping women work through or prevent burnout, getting rid of the stress, the anxiety, the feeling like that they shouldn't prioritize themselves. They have to take it all on. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's honestly, it's about simplifying your life. And people say, well, how can I do that? I don't have time. You can do it. Trust me. I did it. My clients have done it, and you can do it.
And Nancy, that is why I fell in love with you, because we keep hearing about how rock bottom is the strongest place and how we have the power from rock bottom. But nobody has told us that we can seize our power on any place in that journey. We don't need to fall to the bottom. And the fact that you've created programs that help your clients through this. Can you give me an example of one of your favorite case studies of how you stopped someone from hitting rock bottom?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can talk to you about Sharon. So Sharon was a single mom, a business owner. She had 2 children, and she actually owned her own business. So when she came to me, she was stressed and anxious. She gave to everybody else over her time on clients, wasn't charging enough money that she actually deserved. She was actually just giving constantly. And she actually, when she came to me, she was depressed. She did not hit rock bottom, but she was at the point of reaching that. So what we ended up doing was we started working together with a lot of mindfulness techniques, getting her on with correcting her diet as far as healthier food, getting her walking, meditation. We did nature, things outdoors because I'm big on nature, connecting that with my business and with my clients. And so when Sharon did, she did a huge shift. And when we were done, not only was she sleeping the normal, regular hours, at least 7.5 to 8 hours a night, she was putting herself first. She started walking outdoors, hiking. She had a dog, so that inspired her also to get out. She was going to exercise classes, and she actually lost over 40 pounds, which was not part of this. But because she shifted everything and she started aligning with who she was, that's what happened. And she, like she said, I am empowered to live the happiest life that I can live now that I know how to do that.
And that is the goal. That is what we're striving for. Because so many times we hear about mindfulness and meditation, and we hear about all these things, and woo woo has been labeled on all of that. And I believe that that label was part of the purposeful disempowerment, because our structures do not want us to know that there is power from within. They want us reliant upon them to tell us what we should eat, and it should be something packaged that they manufactured, and where we should sleep, because obviously we need these different sleep aids and mattresses and pillows and everything. We need the pills. We need this. We need all of these things that perpetuate our system, perpetuate our economy, perpetuate profits for over people. They don't want us to know.
So that's what I call drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And it's because, people, what do you mean drinking the Kool-Aid? Because you're believing everything you're hearing. So you need to be an advocate for yourself. Investigate yourself. As I said, when I told you, I was not a believer at all. And I'm like, you're crazy. Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't believe you. But until I experienced it myself, until my clients experienced it. And I hike regularly outdoors. I had people that did not do medication for anxiety or depression, and they were able to combat that through nature. And we can do that. Our bodies have what it needs. No, I'm not saying that medication doesn't have a purpose, because it does. But if you can solve something on your own, okay, then I strive for you to do that. The biggest thing is we're up here. We're living in our ego, and that ego cannot survive without fear. And when we identify with that, that's what holds us back and sends that fear. You better not do that. You better listen to the doctor, because the doctor knows best.
Yeah.
You need to go on this medication instead of trying to change up your diet or walking or using mindfulness to de-stress yourself.
Yeah, and so many times people think mindfulness is about meditation, sitting with your legs crossed. It is about being in flow. And I've been watching a lot of scientific research on the neurology that happens to our brains. Our brain, when we're in that flow, when we're in that moment, our brains are flooded with neurotransmitters that heal our brain.
You can actually shift which they never thought of course, your DNA. You can change your entire DNA by eating healthy, through mindfulness. You can do all of that, which I think is just amazing. And So that's why I say, when you just said about getting in the flow, this is so, I'm going to bring up nature and how it's helped me. So when you're out there, your entire body is calm, your mind calms, your nervous system is aligned, because nature is a calming, right? It's a calming mechanism, but we are nature, and nature teaches us how to live, and that is simple, right? But we don't live simple, we live complicated because we think we need all this stuff and all these things to make us better. But what does that go to? Comparison. To me, it's to go to comparison, comparing ourselves to everybody else and everything else, and believing.
Absolutely. I was thinking about why things are so different now, because there's so many people saying it's the way it's always been, but they don't realize that the last 250 years, our world changed. We left where we were farming for ourselves, where we were canning our own food, where we were living and in the dirt. We weren't sanitizing everything. We were breathing fresh air. We weren't having cell phones and cameras and computers and everything all around us. We were in the natural system. And that's what you're talking about, right?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's being in the earth. And when you're outdoors in nature, when I say nature, that is sitting at the ocean, putting your hands, if you have a potted plant, soiling that, putting fresh soil in that, putting it in a larger pot, touching the natural. What is natural? Because you're touching the earth, and like I said, we are part of the earth. So that's the natural world, and it has, again, so much to teach us, and we don't connect with that anymore because life has shifted. And what's shifted, it's because things have gotten easier for us, but on the same end, we've made it more complicated for us because we've stepped away from what was that simpler life, and we've actually became addicted to all the social, right? To the phones here, and the TV and everything else. And we need to take time to step away from that. And it's difficult for people to do that because they feel like they have to keep doing. If they're not doing, they're not productive. But the most productive thing you can do for yourself is to find some time for silence. Just disconnect from all electronic devices, even if it's for 10 minutes. Just sit back. I like to close my eyes. That's just me. Take some breaths. I call it a pause. And just see what happens, what comes up. And if I don't mind saying, I feel like a lot of people are afraid of that because what will come up is maybe stuff that they need to heal. And that's something that they push down and don't want to deal with.
Absolutely. That's what we were taught. We were taught suppression. We were taught ignore. We were taught pretend it's not there. We were taught about don't look behind the curtain. Don't really become aware of things. And that is the crap that I write about in my book. That is the conditioned responses, automatic programming that happens. That is the disease that develops in our body through suppression.
Mm-hmm. So I can tell you for myself, because of growing up and helping my mom and sort of being her therapist at such a young age, I never realized I needed to heal until I was. That burnout actually was a gift for me because that's when I started healing. And I looked back and I'm like, oh, I guess that did affect me. I didn't realize it did. So what now? And that's, again, start taking care of my physical body, and then of course we take care of your physical body that helps your emotions, things like that, and your mental well-being, and then the spirituality. And that's when all the healing and stuff started coming. And you kind of have to go through a little bit of darkness before you get to that light, but it is the most liberating thing that you can do.
Absolutely. When you were talking about the fact that you were your mother's therapist, our brains and our systems are designed to keep us in a place of normalcy so that we can cope. Those are coping mechanisms. And so when we say it's always been like this, we don't know what it's supposed to feel like, because we've normalized this. I
Mhm.
I had developed fibromyalgia where if you touched my skin, just a little touch like this, or if I had an itch, it was like fire ants and lightning bolts scratching at my skin. It was horrendous. I didn't know that the rest of the world lived like that. So I never told my doctors there was something going on because I thought it was normal.
Mm. Yeah. And that's where reflection comes in, and that's that silent time. And I still, to this, day, I use reflection. I take the time at the end of the day or the beginning of the day to step back and sort of reflect on everything that happened throughout the day, because I'm sort of to filter through, and that helps because that helps calm your mind for the evening when you go to bed. I don't know about you, Kathy, but when I was living that crazy life, I was just like that gerbil wheel all night, going, 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 faster, faster. What do I have to do tomorrow? Oh my gosh, I forgot to go do this. Should I get out of bed and take care of it, right? I was going, going, but this just helps me decompress to look maybe at what I can do better, what maybe I need to learn from. What did I learn from today? And so reflection is really important, and that's what we can do. So part of my whole program too is like looking at your story. So when we grow up, of course, we have beliefs and values that we've taken on from our parents. And let's not forget all the crap from society that we've taken on, their beliefs and values. So a nice little tool that I like to use is take a piece of paper and just write down today, what today is your values and your beliefs. And then
Mm.
cross off the ones that no longer align with you. Because I bet a lot of these will come up from the past or societies that don't align with you anymore. And then when you do that, write new ones for how you're feeling today, because we are constantly growing and our beliefs and values are shifting. And that is normal and that is fine. And so that's why I say you can rewrite your story as many times as you need, because you are trying to grow and you're learning and you're aligning with who you are, your true self.
Ah, I love, 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 love that. We're about to go to commercial break, but before we do, I just wanted to say, well, we're gonna call a spade because that's what the crap is about. We are having some technical issues. There is not a helicopter going on in the background. So if you're hearing some weird noises, I want you to know that we're well aware of it and we are absolutely going to be taking care of it when we go to commercial. In the meantime, before we come back, Nancy and I are going to be discussing how you can take this and turn it into your superpower, how you can use this information and really make a difference in your life. And so when we go to our commercial break, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, help spread the word because everyone needs to know that they all have the power within them. And so we will be back after this commercial break. We'll see you in a minute.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
So I love, Nancy, that we're having this conversation. And as everyone can see, Nancy has changed her microphone. So if there was any static that was in the way, we hope we've resolved this technical issue. But let's get back to our conversation. We've talked about stress, burnout. We've talked about overwhelm, exhaustion, fatigue. But we've talked about all of these things. That sounds doom and gloom. Now, I know we need to start with awareness. We need to start with recognition of where we are. And then what? How do you help your clients through this?
Absolutely. So we start out by, what is your starting point? Where are you right now? How are you feeling right now? What's your stress level, anxiety level, all the emotions, what's going on within you? And that's usually like on a scale from 1 to 10, just so I can kind of get an idea on, where you are and what we need to work on. And I will say, when I work with clients, it's like the mental, physical, spiritual, and social aspect, right? So that's part of like the whole medicine wheel that I work on with them. And so when we start working together and I'm able to figure all that out, I do include nutrition as part of mine because eating is huge. Your eating habits are huge. So we look at your eating again, at your sleep, at your work. How many hours are you working? What's going on in your home life, like your relationships at home? Because as we know, when we're stressed and we're overwhelmed, that affects our relationship, right? Our kids, our partner. So we want to try to get everything back and have that more balanced, right? For you to feel good and not be so reactionary and vice versa with that. So it's sort of finding out what their story is, their entire story from there. And then we go through a step-by-step process of, if we want to say, rewriting that story, taking different pieces and finding out where can we fit in time for you and adjust stuff. So perhaps you are taking on more work on your own. Okay, maybe, as far as at work, maybe you have, as I always say, 10 things on your desk, but then somebody comes and asks for help and you're like, oh yeah, no problem, I can take that on too. But staying, if you want to stay in your lane, keeping what you have and taking on what you can handle and not more. Okay, just for now, to try to let's get you back to where you belong, or where you should be as far as the whole balance and feeling good where you are. And as far as the home life goes, is making sure, again, what's going on with the kids, what's the kids' schedule, is there any way of help? Can your partner help? Maybe it's a parent that can help out, or grandparent, I should say, or neighbor if they have to go to a sport, things like that. So we really get into the nitty-gritty, because this is what it is, that nitty-gritty. Even cooking meals at home, that's time-consuming. It's very time-consuming. I actually meal prep because it makes my life easier to do that, and that's something we can look at as well. We want to try to simplify your entire life. So we go through, like, your day. Let's look at a day in your life, and let's look at an entire week in your life, and to see how we can simplify that and make things easier. And then when we do that, where can we find moments of fitting in some self-care for you? Okay, and this self-care isn't necessarily just reading a book or taking a bath, something like that. I like to say, when you're at work, to get up as much as you can, like maybe every 30 minutes, get up for 5 minutes. Even if you can pop outside for a couple of minutes, that sun, that natural light on you, that shifts your entire brain. And when you go back, believe it or not, I've seen it for myself and again, clients, how it shifts them emotionally, right? You have a more positive outlook and things like that when you start doing this on a regular basis. So if you can, again, get up and do that as well as at home. So say normally after you have dinner or something, if the kids have homework, you get that, done. Can you go out for a walk with the kids, right? Taking it, again, getting fresh air. I'm all about the outdoors, trying to get out there with them. It's good for you. It's good for the family. You're having that time as a family, but it's something positive that's also benefiting you with
Absolutely.
that.
And there's so much science that goes behind that. I learned recently that it is the angled sun rays that come in on us that are the healthy rays. It's the ones in the middle of the day that bring us the unhealthy. But the ones that are coming in on an angle have the right trajectory. So being out in the morning, being out at dusk, late afternoon, these are the times that we're really absorbing the positive energy from the sun.
I can tell you for myself, and then I also suggest to my clients, is when you are able to go outside for lunch, okay, go outside. If you have a place you can sit that's quiet on a bench. I know for myself, in some of my areas, there's some trees. I go sit over by that there, and then like bring a book or just disconnect. Just, take that time to close your eyes and again, feel that warmth on your body from the sun. And it's great. It recharges you. Like I said, you're going to go in, you're going to have a different outlook. Things are going to look easier and not as complicated as they may have looked in the beginning or overwhelming, for you. And I really do believe, truly, your critical thinking, your creativity, all that gets sparked when you do this. And it's just making things a habit like anything else, right? So we have that habit of go, go, go. Now we need to retrain that brain of let's slow down, let's take on what we can handle and not overdo. And I'm not saying you can't handle a lot. That doesn't mean you can't, but you don't have to. You can simplify things in your entire life to make it flow better and align with who you are. And to be, I just say we are all meant to live in alignment and to live in peace and calm, not with such chaos, right? And we can live like that. And as you had mentioned before, Kathy, and that's what nature and doing these little things is being in that present moment.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was remembering pre-Kathy, before my burnout, before my breakdown. I would go to work and I would not stop until I got home. And when I got home, then there was dinner and everything else. I didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't eat. Every single moment was working moments. And so when I would come home and my partner would not understand because he naturally took lunch. He naturally had time in between tasks because that was the way his work was. So we've trained different people, different expectations. And the expectation was on me was that I better be productive 150% of the time and produce more than anyone else. That's what you're talking about, right? That expectation.
And that's and you feeling that you have to be that. You're not productive if you're not going, 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 and doing multiple things at once. And that's the thing. I would do multiple things. I'm sure you did. You were multitasking like crazy. And that's actually not good for you. It's not healthy actually to do that. It's focusing on one task at a time. And that's by simplifying too. One task at a time, move on to the next. But take those important breaks. And I call it breaks of silence. That's just what I do because again, when you're in that moment of silence, you're in the present, you're calming the mind because this mind is, oh no, you need to keep going. If you don't keep going, then you're not a good person. Somebody else can, take over your job or, your kids need this or it's that lack. That's what I like to say. That's what comes up of all this sense of lack, which is a bunch of BS.
Yeah, it's crap. When I think about that moment, because you've really triggered a memory for me, I would come home and I'd be exhausted, and my partner would ask me, "Can you do this or can we do that or whatever?" And I would kind of snap and say, "I'm empty. I have nothing left to give." That was what I was bringing home. Well, what a joy that would be to see that walk through the door, right?
Kathy, I'm right there with you. The same thing. I'm not even going to use the word that I should use of how I was, because, and reflecting back on it, I'm like, ooh, boy, I'm lucky he still stayed with me from all that. Seriously, I'm telling you. But listen, this is learning and growing, and there is nothing wrong as long as you learn and grow. And what I want to say is to teach. I am here, like you, Kathy, to up level other people and women and help them to live the life that they deserve and that they can have. Don't believe you can't, because you can. Kathy and I are both examples. We both, I'm sure you have clients as well, as examples, are living in alignment, the life that they thought they never could have. And I'm telling you, it's wonderful. It really is. I never thought I would be there, Kathy. Never. Until I had to go through it. Never did I.
I don't even recognize the woman that I am today versus the one I was. And that's why I like this conversation. And you brought up that memory of me coming home and me thinking, oh, now I got to do the laundry and I got to cook dinner and I got to do this and I got to do that. And I have all these things. And it was like, you can even hear, as I'm remembering it, the stress coming out in my voice. What? And, and that was normal.
Yeah. Because you knew. That's what you knew. And so you knew nothing different. You weren't exposed to anything different. But I also believe sometimes, I don't know, I just believe sometimes things happen for a reason, just like today. Hopefully other people are seeing us and hearing this and realizing, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me, and I can make a difference in my own life and live a life that makes me feel good of who I am. But that feeling good of who I am means giving back to yourself and not
Absolutely.
forgetting about that, and not forgetting. And you can reflect back on, what happened from the past and stuff like that. But you know what? That is in the past, and that's fine. And we both learned something from that. But here today, never again would I let that happen to myself or to my clients. And that's why we do what we do, is to help them move on and live that life, again, they deserve, and to be empowered. And you have that inner strength. People always think, and I've heard, oh, I couldn't do that from some clients. I can't do that. I can, but you can do that. It's just that you're used to this particular habit of that go, 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 and that nonstop productiveness. And you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and you're exhausted from your day. You were up at 5 o'clock and you're not going to bed till 10, and yet your mind's still racing. So something needs to change, and you have to be ready for that change.
Absolutely. And I think part of what is changing is, for so long, women were pitted against each other. We were in competition with other women. And so we weren't having these conversations. We weren't hearing each other and saying, whoa, what are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Because men have absolutely no problem doing those self-care, saying, I want to watch the game, I want to go play golf, and they know they need it, they claim it, and they should. But for some reason it's been put into the female mind, no, that's not for you.
I absolutely agree with you. It's like a learned behavior. And I really feel like it is learned behavior. Saw my mom do it, even though what she was going through, just generation to generation, it keeps going. And it has to stop. There's no need of it. We deserve that. And especially with women in the work, force. We are out there working full time, raising kids, trying to do everything else. Like I said, volunteering, and that's why we put ourselves last, or we feel like we don't deserve it. We work just as hard as our partners, and we deserve to give back to ourselves.
Absolutely. And it comes with us challenging the status quo, which is what Unlearn the Crap TV is about. What my entire movement is about. Is about challenging it. Does this work? Does this empower me? Does this take me out? And then once you identify whether it's working for you or not, now you have options. But when we don't open the conversation up to show all the different choices, we're still making the same decisions with the same information.
I say, don't be ashamed. Absolutely do not be ashamed. Don't feel that anybody else is not going through this, because they are. If they aren't talking about it, trust me, they are going through that. But I like when you said, it's about feeling. What do you feel in here? What is your body telling you? I mean, are you exhausted? Does something need to shift? Are my needs being met? You need to, ask yourself those questions. And, when you get those answers, then, I always say, write them down and see what's going on and how you can shift. What can change for the better to meet your needs?
And that's what comes out of the silence, the stillness, those moments, is we can start to hear that inner voice. But when we're always busy, when we're always doing, which I don't know if anyone knows this, but a woman, when she is in homeostasis and she is in her natural state, she is not running on testosterone. And testosterone is created in the doing. That's where a man's power comes from. When a man is doing it and he's accomplishing and he is creating, he's building testosterone, which makes him in his power. But women's power is wired differently, it's chemically derived differently.
That silence is key, Kathy, 100%. And I push that nonstop on my clients and just, friends, family, to take that time for that silence. And I can say on the weekends, especially, I don't turn my phone on for an hour and a half to 2 hours. I sit on my deck. I have my two old pups and I take a book, but I just sit there and I relax. And I'll tell you, I never would do that before, ever, because I thought it was wrong to sit there. But that is the most filling. I feel fulfilled. My cup is overflowing. It feels amazing to be able to do that. And as I say, when you're able to do that, you are so energized. You have that extra energy to give. And again, that your relationships are better. You're emotionally more balanced. Everything's just aligned and you feel good.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question about new young mothers, because you and I are a little farther along in our journey. I'm actually a grandma. So if we've now come to the next generation, what do we tell these new young mothers who are raising the next generation? How do they balance it all? How do they, when young children have a lot of needs, how does a woman, a mother, or a father, how do people navigate all of this change?
And I think with support, for sure, because it is a lot. It is so much. I mean, I remember raising my children, again, ages ago, 33-year-old and 29-year-old, but it's a lot. But support. Don't be afraid to get support. If you have a partner, you know what? Share that equally, truly. Don't feel that you have to take it on all yourself. If you have a grandparent close by or a good friend, you could take turns helping each other out. I definitely say to reach out for support, because you need that. Not just even for the children's help, but for you emotionally to have that, a little bit of quiet time and just to feel that you are supported through this whole journey.
I absolutely love that. For those of you who don't know, I have launched an Unlearn the Crap collaborative community. And what you're talking about, and Nancy is one of the experts in the community, sharing her wisdom, her resources, her everything within there. But one of the things that we are building this on is that we all have a zone of genius and we all have needs. And we have not been taught to claim our genius and say, I'm really good at this. And from this gift, this is where I give. And we're not taught to say, this is what I need. Who can help me? I need help here. And that's what you're talking about, is learning how to ask for the help, learning to be aware.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely need to, and there's no shame in that. I did not have that, support. And I mean, I had a partner and stuff like that, and he did what he could, but I had no other support, never asked for any support. But I can just say I beg of you to definitely ask for support. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure if you do have a friend or something like that, they would love that support as well. It's sort of like an exchange, right? To be able to do that. And I love the fact that you talked about the genius, because I truly believe we are all born with a gift, and it's up to us to identify that gift. And that gift can be identified by taking that time of silence and reflecting back. So if you can recognize, whatever, again, in my 50s, late 50s, but recognize different patterns of things that you've done. And so for me, where I am as a, spirit inspired empowerment coach, I actually started that looking back when I was my mom's therapist, and it continued on through that. And I didn't realize that until I was 40. Like I said, I went through everything I went through. Then I'm like, now I see. Now I see the pattern where it is. But you can look back and see a pattern, and that probably most likely is your genius and your gift, and to discover that. And we are here, I believe, to share that gift. Again, to up-level other people in our lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could not agree more. That, I believe, is where we need to be focusing our attention on. How can we serve? And learning to unlearn the crap that we're supposed to know it all, do it all, be it all by ourselves. And so, you as a coach, you're there to support people in their mission, in finding their health and their wealth and their alignment with themselves, so that they now can give from their own self as well, right?
Right. So what they learn from me, okay, they can go on and help teach others. This is what I learned, when I worked with Nancy, and now you can carry that forward. Maybe a relative or a sister or whoever that you can teach. 100%. Absolutely. And again, we're all here to learn and teach and to up level, to empower each other, and to be our own superwoman or superman within our lives.
Yes,
Yeah.
and not superwoman or superman in the way that we are self-deprecating.
Right. Oh, no, 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 not that way. But, I just use that term, but it's that strength. I call it in here that inner strength. I always look to here, because we have that inner strength, and that's where the superpowers are. That's what I mean for me. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that, because so many times we feel that we have to have that cape on instead of coming in, because the cape comes from inside and it's in our inner power. Nancy, for those people who are watching us right now and they're wondering, is this me? What pearly words of wisdom do you want to make sure they take away?
Well, number one, I want to know you are enough. You are enough as you are, but you absolutely can, and when I say, I don't want to say improve, but you can bring out and align with your authentic self by connecting with who you are, filling your needs and your own desires first in order to teach, enlighten, and to support others around you, your family, your partner, your coworkers, friends, all of them. But Yeah, you are a light. You are a light. You're a beacon out there. And so believe in that and believe in yourself, and you are not alone.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for taking the time and being a part of this show today. For those of you who are aligning with Nancy's vision, who feel that she is speaking to you, Nancy is available to help you. And you can see her information right below. You can connect with her there. You can also join us within the Unlearn the Crap community, collaborative community, where we're all there to support and nurture and help you grow and evolve into your best self. Because I know, Nancy, you're like me. You know that the call is coming now. There has never been a more important time in this world for each and every one of us to shed the crap in our way and to step into who we are meant to be and bring our gifts to the world.
Really step into your inner power, shine your light, and be a beacon for other women and everybody out there. Be that beacon, because you
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely. We give what we are. And so
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Nancy. And for those of you who have been joining us today, thank you for being a part of this conversation. I encourage you to make sure you subscribe to this channel, share the message, let other people know, because even the act of putting your intention on sharing this message is part of bringing that positive energy to the world. Join us on the Unlearn the Crap community, where we can be there to serve and support you, where you can also get your needs met, but share your genius, where we all come together and make this the most amazing next 10 years of our lives. Because hang on to your seatbelts. We're changing, the world's changing, whether you like it or not. So let's ride it all together. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for
Thank you.
watching. We will see you next week, where we'll have another amazing guest having a fantastic conversation.
Thank you so much.
This has been Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Tune in each week as Kathy challenges you to rethink everything you know about personal empowerment and societal structures. Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.